Lately, I see a massive amount of ads from Vyond selling to instructional designers. I'll also see a lot of questions from instructional designers such as, what do you think of Vyond? Is it easy to use? Should I pronounce it Vyond? Vyond? Is it worth my money? Can we really use it for training content? Short answer is yes, but let's dig into it in this video. Thank you for joining this video and for indulging my French-Canadian accent. So my name is Maria, I work as an e-learning developer for Octodee, and I hate my training content to be boring. So since the very beginning of my career, I've been using and researching different cartoon creation tools. So I worked with GoAnimate, that became Vyond after. I used Powtoon too, I used Adobe Character, and more recently Toonly, but for this video, I'm gonna really focus on Vyond. I'll be talking more specifically about the premium account that goes for $649 a year. It's rather expensive considering all the other licenses that we have to use, but good news is that you can have the 1 month trial and see if you like it. Other good news is that sometimes Vyond's on sale, so I bought mine at 20% discount around Halloween. At Octodee, we use Vyond to tell stories, to create realistic scenarios, but also to avoid the pain and the costs of video shootings. Let's start with a tour of the tool. If some of you are used to Storyline, you'll see that the timeline is used in a similar way. The main difference, though, is that it's broken in shorter sequences. So you see there's a long timeline with sequences. Within the animations, you can recognize the in and out animations and also the motion path. There are 3 different types of characters. There are characters that you can use in different contexts with different clothes. Free assets, you can also upload your own. Also free sound, so that's something we don't have in Storyline. It's really nice to be able to get them directly from that software. There's a text-to-speech function that works pretty well for drafts. I worked on short videos and that went really well. I worked on longer and more complex videos and that didn't go that well. Let's use our last project as a case study. Ellen Cora, who's a senior designer at Octodee, used reality TV shows as an inspiration to build a game where 4 candidates were competing for a permanent position in a company called Vudex. The learner could access each week's recording and also could vote on different candidates and eliminate them. During the training, they were also asked to justify their choices. If you want to see the demo, you can click on the link in the description down here. The training staged 12 characters. I don't know if you can imagine how hard it would have been if it was real video footage. With Hélène, we went through each character's personality and physical attribute to build custom character, because that's something you can do in Vyond that's fun. It's a little bit like video games. That part was actually pretty nice, no problems there. Then audio. Because we had 12 characters, it also means 12 audio files, and they've been recorded in different places by different people, and to have them look that they've been recorded in the same space was actually a challenge. Vyond audio editing tools are pretty limited, so there's not a lot of options. The only things that you can do are basically to play with the levels a little bit, to cut the audio, and also there's a fade in, fade out tool, but that's pretty much it. There's nothing much more that you can do. So what I did is that I took these audio files and had to edit them in Audacity before I imported them in Vyond. This project was pretty long. It was a 90 minutes training. It's almost impossible to build longer video in Vyond because the timeline is not made for that. It gets confusing as the timeline is not easy to control, it's not easy to navigate in. You can't really name the sequences and the exports. Vyond is web-based, so it can actually slow down if you have a lot of data, a lot of animations, a lot of effects in it. So it means that the longer, the most complicated your video is, the longest it can take to just see a preview. It can take time, but also when you have heavier project, you have to consider the fact that the export is going to take time. So Vyond has to generate the video and it can take forever if it's complex. You have to also consider that the export settings are also pretty limited. So you have that one video and you can just export a video. You can't export, for example, bits of it. So in another project that I'm working on right now, I need smaller bits of video. So sometimes it's like just 2 or 3 seconds of animation. And that's something I can work in easily in Vyond. It would be too time consuming to build, let's say, the 400 videos that I need to build in Vyond bit by bit. An ideal timeline in Vyond for me is something around 1 to 3 minutes. So I build, let's say, 3 minutes videos and then I export them. I import them in Premiere Pro where the cuts were done and my export were ready for importing them in Storyline. That looks like a long process, but it's actually not. It was way faster than if I used Vyond for the whole process. I told you it can be complicated to do longer and more complex video in Vyond, and I'm sure you're curious about the bugs I run into, because yeah, it can get buggy if you work on more complex videos. So let's go through them. First bug was an audio bug. I could hear clicking noises, like subtle clicks before and after each audio track, and that was super annoying. Even if without a headphone you couldn't hear it, it was still annoying to me. So I researched it, I couldn't find anything on the web, so I reached to Vyond customer service. They fixed it really quickly. They worked in the settings on their end and it was like magic. The clicks disappeared from all my videos. The colors, yeah, that one was pretty bad. So at that point, again, in our case study, there's a lot of shorter videos, so 1 to 3 minutes again. I had at that point probably 15 of them done. I had maybe 200 sequences and I had that object that appeared in most of them, like 90% of the sequences, and the color changed. So half of my project was done and that object that appeared in all of my sequences changed. Again, I couldn't find anything online, reached to Vyond customer service. That one took a little bit longer. They said they had an update and that color code, that specific color code changed and there's nothing they could do about it, and I had to manually change the color on each object. That wasn't fun. But anyway, that was fixed. Then it was not done with my problems. There's one option that is really fun with Vyond and with other cartoon creation tool, which is lip sync. So you have a character and you can assign an audio track to their voice and they can talk accordingly. But in a few of my videos, I realized that some voices were assigned to the character, but the character wouldn't lip sync, and I couldn't understand why. It wasn't in a lot of them. Maybe I had like 10 occurrences, but that was annoying and I couldn't do it. Like I moved the audio track, can't do it, remove it, put it again, can't do it. So reach Vyond customer service again. They tried to fix the problem, weren't really able to do so, and told me that actually what's important is that when you have an audio track that doesn't go further than the sequence that you're working on. It's not something that's been a problem for shorter videos with a few audio tracks, but because mine had many characters sometimes in the sequence talking to each other, and then some talked longer than the sequences, some not. Maybe that was getting too complicated, it got buggy. So I ended up being able to fix it, working around it. That can be the content for another video, but anyways, it stopped me for around 2 days working on that video because I couldn't find a solution and Vyond couldn't find it too. But I would say it's pretty rare. It was the first time I ran into the problem, and again, it was a pretty complex project with many characters, with many audio track, with a lot of objects. So if you want to start using Vyond for instructional design use, my advice is start with a short project. By short, I mean around 1 minute. You have to remember that Vyond was created originally probably for a short explainer video for marketing. One audio track, one character, one song in the background, but it meant to be pretty simple, and that use worked really well. Another advice is to use their templates. So you'll see that built in Vyond, there's a lot of templates for offices, medical, client, customer service. So they're pretty easy to work from. And also Vyond is very generous, giving you full video templates. As an example, I put a video template that Vyond offered. We localized it for French Canadian. I put the before after in the description down here again. Be aware of the limitation, but also the opportunity given by the characters and the different templates that exist. Go through the different characters, go through the different clothes they can wear, the scenes that you can use. Is it worth the money? Having 2 to 3 major projects on Vyond made it worse for us. But if you're a freelancer and you're starting off, maybe build the license with the project, or you can also ask the client if they want to buy the license, because this way they could easily make updates or little changes in the training without going through you if they have their own license. I would say Vyond in general is a rather solid software, but if you work in longer or more complex projects, you can run into bugs. A little bit like Storyline or Captivate anyways, right? On the bright side, if you run into bugs and you need to talk with the tech support team, I have to say that it's pretty good. They're smart, they're really nice. I have nothing negative to say about them. So my personal opinion is I really like Vyond. It's not perfect, but it's really worth the money, and I can really use it to build training content. If it's well used, and if the training content is well designed, it can really help you reach learning objectives. If you enjoyed this video, please tell us by liking it, by following us, because we are planning to do more of them. And also, if you have questions, please type them in the comment section down here. Thank you!